Have you ever had that moment when playing a game where you know this is a moment that I'm going to remember for as long as I live? I have been lucky enough to have several of those in my time playing games. Some are happy, some are epic, some are sad, and some are shocking. All of them make those games better, and I wanted to make some videos discussing some of those moments. There's a few, including this one, that I have touched on in other videos I have made, but this series is an in-depth look at that one particular moment and why it was so impactful for me, the game, and anything beyond that. I hope this resonates with y'all, and I'm sure there are plenty of you who have moments that feel the same. To start off, I want to talk about a scene towards the end of Trails in the Sky first chapter. The moment I can point to that completely transformed the game and is one I look back on and think, this is where Falcom showed the potential of this series and the richness of its storytelling. This is a big spoiler moment for Trails in the Sky first chapter though, so if you have not played the game, please do so before watching this video. I am going to be focusing and showing the remake's version of this scene, but this scene is also brilliant in the original. The remake just adds some new dimensions to the brilliance in the animation and voice acting, so I figured I would focus on that as it gives a greater overall depth. Now, some of you may have an idea of what moment I am referring to. Some of you may be debating between multiple moments, and there are certainly many memorable moments from the end of Trails in the Sky first chapter. The one I want to highlight is the one that I think transformed the game and set up the drive for the second game. The snap. This scene serves in several ways, both within the narrative and through the wider lens of the series as a whole. The most crucial of those is that this serves as the proper introduction of Weissman as both an antagonist for the next game and as an important character for Joshua's past. This is such a crucial scene for both of their characterization, and it shows a lot while still leaving a lot of mysteries to unpack, which is why it serves such an important role to influencing Trails in the Sky second chapter. Now, I'm not going to get into exactly what that means because second chapter's remake has not released yet, so you're going to have to just imagine, or if you played the original, remember what this scene means for that game. We start out with the bait and switch about what this scene is going to show. Initially, it looks like this could be the love confession / realization for Joshua and Estelle, and then after Estelle leaves to get ice cream and Joshua is left pondering the possibilities, Professor Alba shows up. He sounds the same as always, but even before Joshua speaks, we can tell something is off. Could be player instinct given how late in the game this interaction is happening, or perhaps you too notice the growing pattern that Joshua outlines. It could be of Professor Alba skulking around the towers, or the unease characters like Joshua and Kurt felt when he was around. Joshua is a particularly important character for this to be happening to because it is very out of character for him to break his calm demeanor, and certainly not to the point that his very existence trembles. There is only one other scene in the entire game where Joshua loses his composure before this moment, and it is when Mayor Dalmore is threatening Estelle. His reaction in that moment is cold, unrestrained fury, which is an important thing for us to learn about his character, but doesn't match what we see in this moment. This moment is the first time that we see Joshua in despair, disbelief, anguish. Weissman plays on every fear and anxiety Joshua has, whether he knows of them or not. Joshua is confronted with his past trauma from what happened in Hamel, his rebuilding from a numb person into a pure weapon under Weissman's control, and the confirmation of Lieutenant Lawrence's identity. When Joshua asks Weissman if he is here to kill him, Weissman just tells him there is no cause for concern. A worrying non-answer, especially from someone whose ability to do harm extends far past just killing someone, as he will demonstrate in this scene. Weissman's comments about the Oriole and this just being the first phase establish clearly and succinctly that not only are we not done, but that he will serve as our primary antagonist the rest of the way. As Joshua pointed out, he was behind all of the events previously, and the fact that he laid undetected throughout the entire adventure shows just how capable and powerful he is. Then we get to the meat of Weissman's manipulation and Joshua's biggest fear when it comes to his relationship to Estelle and Cassius. The thing about what Weissman is saying is that Joshua agrees with all of it. To be seen, truly seen, is terrifying. And that's when it's a person who wants the best for you, and Weissman is not that person. Weissman gives Joshua exactly what he would want, freedom from the society, but not without the price of knowing what made him eligible for said reward. When Joshua shows suspicion of this supposed reward, Weissman throws in a dig at Joshua's emotional responses before hitting him with the real devastating reveal. His mission over the last 5 years, the one he has been oblivious to due to Weissman's mind manipulation, has been to spy on Cassius Bright. He was taken in from the goodness of the Brights' hearts, and he has been betraying them the entire time. In fact, without Joshua's reporting, the society would likely have been unable to plan and execute the ruse that led Cassius out of the country, resulting in the entire ordeal that Estelle and Joshua just overcame. While Joshua tries to deny it, he knows all too well the depths of Weissman's power, and that at this point, he has no need to lie when the truth is this devastating. As Weissman points out, Joshua could just continue on as if nothing ever happened. But we know Joshua, just as Weissman does. Not the assassin, but the boy we came to know and love over the story. That Joshua could never continue to live a lie and put the people he loves in danger. And Weissman knows this too. He is putting voice to the thoughts in Joshua's head for no other reason than to torment him. Weissman's line that puts the nail in the coffin is, "After all, the Bright family is too pure for a creature like you. Has their love blinded you?" With that, Joshua is placed back in the shadows, back as a broken puppet that deserves no love, no compassion. Because the one time he has been shown that since the atrocities that he endured, he betrayed them, not knowingly, but completely. And Joshua doesn't believe that he can come back from that. Weissman has made Joshua feel like he is something less than human that taints everything it touches, so of course he can't stay with Cassius or Estelle, whose humanity and goodness is central to everything they do. Joshua's fear is that if they truly knew all that he was, they would turn away from him because there's nothing left to redeem. Joshua cannot stay with them in the bright light. As Joshua says, "This is my punishment." Punishment for what? To find out, you must play on. And that's the other bit of this scene, is so much of Joshua's past is hinted at, is referenced, but we don't know the specifics. We don't know, but we know it must be something horrible for him to break this completely. As Joshua says, Weissman has the power to warp and control a person's memory and perception, but what makes Weissman so malicious in this scene is not that power. He hardly uses it other than to help Joshua remember towards the beginning about his past as the Black Fang. He does his manipulation of Joshua right out in the open through good old-fashioned talking. He plays on Joshua's existing insecurities and his past trauma to convince him that after everything he has done, all the wrongs he has committed generally and to the Bright family specifically, that he does not deserve a happy life. He does not deserve love. Weissman shows this as lifting the veil, as he says directly, and when he references Joshua being blinded by the Bright's love. That's all that Weissman is doing. He's just showing Joshua how the world really is and who Joshua really is. Weissman gets Joshua to question his goodness and even his own humanity, and does so by echoing Joshua's own self-hating thoughts out loud to him. Weissman demonstrates his continued control over Joshua and his thought process by making Joshua connect the dots and conclude that he is unforgivable and that the Bright family is better off without him. All of that leads into the final moments of the game. What is Weissman's ultimate goal? Hard to say. Ultimately, I believe it is to get Joshua to return to the society, but even more hardened by the experience to the point that Joshua believes the society is the only place he could ever belong. Before that, though, Weissman wants to toy with him by separating him from the only person who knows Joshua better than Weissman does and could help him realize his humanity. In this, we know that Weissman succeeds as Joshua decides to leave on a mission of his own without Estelle. Beyond that, well, I know what comes next, so I can't say while keeping this spoiler free, but suffice to say, Weissman is lacking any morals, and more than capable of doing great harm with the snap of his fingers. An effective way to introduce the big villain of the arc. This moment when Joshua encounters Professor Alba/Weissman, and it is revealed that he is behind all the events of the game, is a masterclass in storytelling. I went through the writing already, so let's talk about the tone of the scene. When Estelle and Joshua reach the bench, the tone of the dialogue and music are both light and celebratory. They beat Colonel Richard in the coup. They've become senior bracers. Estelle is going for ice cream. Everything is fun and happy. That atmosphere stays for a little bit when Professor Alba appears, but as Joshua expresses his discomfort with the professor, the atmosphere changes. In the remake, you can also see Weissman's demeanor change physically when Joshua finishes his speech. The opening of the perpetually closed eyes, the shifting of body language. It is a subtle but perceptible shift that influences our understanding of him immediately. The music changes from the celebratory Let's Be Lively track to the familiar but more mysterious Tower of Four Wheels. This musical change helps set the tone as Joshua lays out his suspicions and then his accusation, while also drawing the connection between Alba and the towers, both as a reminder of the meetings with him and his interest in the towers, as well as previewing their importance to the following game. The tone then changes again with another musical change right after Alba snaps to Lift the Veil. The new song is Release from the Spell, and this song has a sinister and menacing tone which fits Weissman in all he is about to reveal. Then, after the biggest reveal of the scene, they play the song In My Heart, a song that has previously been used around far more positive moments in the story, but this time plays while Joshua's heart is laid bare in all its anguish. It is an ironic echo that this song plays now as Joshua's pain is overwhelming him. The song continues playing until all music quiets after Estelle comes back with the ice cream, and then we finish up with the tune Feeling Sore with the Wind, trying to reassure us that all is well. However, we as the audience and Joshua know that not all is well, and even Estelle seems to have her suspicions, but that's where this scene leaves off. There's so much from the end of Trails in the Sky first chapter that is wonderfully presented, including the scenes following this one, but without this scene, none of the pressure on Joshua that forces his future actions would exist. Also, this scene in the remake is brilliantly performed by Johnny Young Bosch as Joshua and David Lodge as Alba. Both show off sides of their characters we have not seen before in the game, and do so in a way that feels authentic to how they have portrayed the characters throughout the game prior to this point. I am very glad that the remake was able to give them a chance to reprise their roles from the original to show off their talents in a much more meaningful way. Liam O'Brien has some big shoes to fill for Weissman. That brings me to what this scene means for the series and for the player. For the player who just finished the game, this scene establishes several things, most important of which are Weissman as a powerful and evil antagonist, a glimpse of Joshua's past, stoking the mystery that will help drive the following game, the motivation for the split of Joshua and Estelle and Joshua's love confession, and that this story is not over. It's that last one that I want to touch on a little more because while this is well documented and known now, including being advertised in the title of the game of first chapter, when the game originally came out in Japan, this game being the first chapter of a larger story was not known. An incredibly bold decision that could have been a disaster if it didn't hook players, and the decision that led to the Trails series as we know it today, with its interconnected world, progressive timeline, and recurring characters, locations, and themes. All of that comes from the first game, and I would say comes from this scene. This scene serves as the impetus for that revelation, and without an effectively executed cliffhanger, which includes this scene and the rooftop ending, the Trails series could have withered on the vine as a failed, ambitious experiment. It is great then that not only is this scene effective, it is transcendent, a moment that is etched indelibly in my memory and those of many other players. There's even further revelations and details in the scene that only make sense after playing the next game, another feature of the Trails series being highlighted early on in the development of the series. However, I will refrain from going into details on that given that the second chapter remake is just around the corner, but those who played the original, we can talk more in the comments. All of this is why this scene has stuck with me so long. Why I was hopeful and fearful about how it would be handled in the remake. They knocked it out of the park. I was already on board with Trails by the time this moment hit in the original game, but it is undeniable that it did a couple things that I think are crucial, both to the success of Sky the First's final moments and the payoff in second chapter. This scene is Joshua's most fascinating moment in this game, when his calm demeanor gets broken and his past doesn't get revealed but gets hinted at to increase intrigue. This scene reveals Weissman, a fantastic villain that shows that while some antagonists in the series are going to have complicated, understandable motivations like Colonel Richard, others are just full of pure malice. It is the first mention of Ouroboros in the series, the overall looming threat that will define many of the events of the series. It is a meaningful moment at every level, which is why I felt motivated to talk about it, to explore just how brilliant this scene is. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment. As this is a new type of video, I really would appreciate the feedback as I explore doing more videos like this. If you are not already and feel like joining the community, please subscribe to keep up with the channel, especially now that I am back and settled into the new place. So hopefully videos will be coming out more frequently than they have been lately. I hope to see you all in the next video. Have a great day and happy gaming.